Hey everybody, I'd like to share this little demonstration about how calibration solution for your pH meter really has an impact on the final result. I know for me pH meters are a little bit intimidating. You know, they're such exact instruments and they have such a small range to work with that I think it's important to just get a handle on how to best set the tool up for your brewery. Here's my pH meter. It's by no means a high-class, high-level instrument. I think I paid $70 for it. But the purpose of this video is more about making the best of the instrument you have, rather than making sure you have to have the most expensive meter out there. Here we have 3 different buffering solutions. And this is kind of the focal point of the video demonstration. Starting on the left, we have some old and reused buffer solution. It's actually the BioPharm that I poured into these little bottles. These bottles came with my meter and they're very convenient. They're sides so the meter will sort of stick down into them very easily. But I made the mistake of not really changing the solution out on a timely basis, so I wound up reusing the solution. So I was dipping the meter back in there and not changing out the solution after each calibration, and that's kind of what we'll see in the video as it goes by. In the middle we have relatively old solution. It just kind of went out of date. It's probably, I would say in my opinion, the best us homebrewers can get. You can get it on Amazon. It's about $15 for the 2-pack, and comes with certifications. Excellent stuff. It's just a little bit out of date. And then all the way to the right is another homebrew product. I just bought it new because Amazon was out of the BioPharm, and we'll see how that performs, but it's going to represent the new solution in our video today. We also have some decanted starter wort, which is fermented, so it's actually beer. It's unhopped, but it's still beer. And also these little solo cups that I purchased at the dollar store. You get about 20 of them in the pack, and they're perfect for this use. And we have distilled water, which we'll be using to rinse the probe in between each solution. Okay, we're going to start with the old solution. First up is the pH 7 buffer solution. Just going to pour that in the little cup. First, we're going to rinse the probe off in the distilled water. Going to get rid of the stored solution. We'll let the pH kind of settle down before we run the calibration routine. Okay, that's now set to 7. Once again, we're going to rinse it with the distilled water, and then we'll move on to pH 4. We can see how this is settling at a pretty high number. That should be floating downwards to around 4, but it's stopping at 4.6. I'm going to go ahead and run the calibration routine. There we go, set to 4. And one more time with the distilled water. By the way, I'm changing out the distilled water each time. Okay, here's the beer, and we'll see what we come up with for our NPH. There we go. I'm going to call it at 3.37. Okay, on to the middle set of bottles. First we're going to rinse again with the distilled water. And here's the solution that's out of date. The pH 7 is 2020, and here's the pH 4, which is October 24th, 2019. Okay, as always, you start with the buffer solution 7. We'll pour some in our little solo cup. Turn it back on here. And we'll wait for that to sort of settle out. This step might be a little bit long, but I think it's important to let the meter adjust to what it thinks is right. There we go, set that to 7. Another distilled water rinse. Here's our pH 4. This is the solution that's a little more out of date. You can see the meter is pretty far away from the previous calibration with the other fluid. You can see it's wanting to settle around 3.25, which is pretty far away from 4. So we're going to set it back up to 4, see how it acts when we get to the beer. Another rinse in the distilled water. Okay, here's our beer. Let's see what we come up with for a final pH. Okay, so I'll call it at 4.10. Okay, now we have the third set of buffer solution. This is from a brand called Brewmaster, and it is brand new, so it should be the most accurate. As always, start with the distilled water. Okay, buffer solution 7. Pour a little in the miniature solo cup. Let it wind down to the point where it settles. We can see it's tracking pretty well. It's probably going to end up somewhere around 7. Calibration complete. Moving on to pH 4. First with the rinse in distilled water. And there we can see we are once again tracking pretty closely, getting pretty close to 4 even. Okay, we are calibrated. One final rinse with distilled water. And here is our beer. Move it around just a little bit. Keeps on wanting to move up a little bit, so I called it at 4.13. You can see there's quite a difference between solution number 1 and 3. Okay, the key takeaways for me would be always pouring a fresh portion of the calibration solution, and definitely use a small separate container, not the bottle you're actually storing the solution in. And then just discard the solution after you're done, and keep your calibration solution up to date. Many brewers will calibrate each and every time they brew, or some people just kind of do it once every 2 weeks. It's something you'll just have to learn with your meter. Hope this video helped you out, and thanks for watching.